Welcome back to Comedy Trap House News. It's your boy Marvin Telp. And we're gonna open this week with my comments at the end of last week's video. I mean, one, I do appreciate you guys commenting, but I realized that it may have been a touch harsh. I realized that I may have been a little bit aggressive, and some of you people may not have responded in the way that I really wanted you to. And for that, I just want to say, tough titty, like, you're fine. Thank you for commenting. We appreciate the love. Let's move on to the news. Speaking of rants and ravings, Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert comics. And I know a lot of you probably don't even know what comics are in the newspaper because you haven't read a newspaper ever. But those of us that are a little bit older, you remember on Sundays when they was colorful, you used to open them up and Garfield was actually on. Anyway, Dilbert and his pale pasty comic creator went on this racist tirade. And I mean, he went on like, run away from these shiftless, wide-nosed, breathing up all the white man's air niggas. He said, that's why I move where the white folks is, because it's all right if it's all white. He went ham, and I'm kind of just, you know, quoting him, but close enough. And he got fired. He got fired. Dilbert in that boring magazine, 34 years strong, got fired also. And rightfully so. But then, of course, Elon Musk opens his mouth. And this is the problem with money in these United States. People just think they can say whatever they want to say. And he basically came out and was like, the U.S. media is racist because of how they treated a racist. Sir, shut the YouTube algorithm up. He then later took down his tweet because he realized there was a phenomenal backlash to this, because we aren't tolerating this same type of behavior. Like, it's just not a thing that we're going to be okay with. Now, he said black people are a hate group and that we are racist. Listen, let me explain something one more time for the people in the back, since you don't understand. Black people cannot be racist. Why? What is racism? Racism is the systemic oppression of a racial group to the social, economic, and political advantage of another. We've been in these United States for 400 years, and we have never had an advantage here in these United States. Maybe an NBA draft, but you know, I think it's talent that really speaks for itself. But prejudice? Hell yeah. Black people can hate. Oh boy, we hate black people, we hate white people, we hate everyone. Speaking of hate, the U.S. Department of Energy has assessed with low confidence that COVID-19 actually came from a lab, and the FBI with moderate confidence that it came from a lab. And here at Comedy Trap House News, we have come with no confidence in the U.S. government whatsoever. We don't know where COVID originated because we just will actually never know. There's not a patient, maybe there's a patient zero, but we won't know who the hell that was because they spread it around like that. Now, what we do know is that it started in Wuhan, which happens to be the same place as the lab of the CDC. But that's not the point, okay? And I know what some of you guys are gonna do is gonna get in the comments. Marvin told us to come in the comments, first of all. Second of all, I know it was built in a lab. Why is it called COVID-19 and not COVID-6? Listen, I get it, right? We're gonna always have that debate on where the origin of COVID is, but this is what we know, and this is what we can do here at the news. We can tell you what we know. What we know is that it started in Wuhan. What we know is that it gave me plenty of time to get Grand Theft Auto 5 completed. I mean, like 100% completed. Like, I did everything. It also let me develop an alcohol habit and also gave me the time to kick it. We had nothing to do but sit in the GD house. The whole point of this is, as everyone's going back and forth and trying to figure out who to place blame on politically, just know that dealing with the health crisis affected all of us. Every last one of us. And with that being said, cover your goddamn mouth. I've been out too many times with you mother shiftless. Where's Scott Adams when you need him? You shiftless, wide nose. Just cover your mouth, please. I don't want to go back in the house again I don't think I'd be able to make it, ladies and gentlemen. I know I wouldn't. Speaking of having a house to go home to, those in Ukraine don't. Yeah, I know, stop. Whoa, Marvin, whatever. Those in Ukraine, they're still in this war with Russia. It's been over a year, which again is amazing. Kudos to them. But in the last recent week, there's been this clip that has gone viral by President Joe Biden. And people are furious. We sending Ukraine pension money? Pension money? Like, we ain't got pensions over here. We sending them pension money? Like, and yes, I can understand your frustration to that. But this video was done in April of last year. It was before Congress voted on this, before the House and the Senate passed this. He had already said what this was. And it was a $45 billion bill. And you go, $45 billion for pension? Let's be honest about what that is and the United States government spending. It's less than 1%. It's approximately about 7. Less than 1% of the money to go to help this war-torn country. And now, I know it's somebody in there right now that's got incense lit in his house talking about, but what about the brothers in Africa? You're right. Our money doesn't go around the world like it should, right? We spend money on our own self-interest. And one of our self-interests happens to be pissing Russia off. We are not going to lose the Cold War, even though they say it's over. Nah, we don't mess with them. They don't mess with us. And so in order to give them the big middle finger that we love to give Russia, we're going to aid Ukraine. We've given them billions of dollars in equipment and machinery, weaponry and all of that. And of course, we're going to help the people. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what it is. But then you have someone like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Ooh, I can't stand this pasty one right here. She came out and posted in response to that video, ooh, President Biden should be impeached for this because we got problems at home. Ma'am, if you voted on the bill. You was in the House, like, what's the bill? Oh, this one, 172-22? Yeah, I'm gonna vote on that. You knew what you were voting on. And yes, I'll give her the only bit of props I will ever give her. She voted no, right? She's upset about it, she voted no. But don't pretend like you didn't know, you stupid. Marjorie Taylor Greene is the same one who just came out this week saying she was attacked at a restaurant. And everyone was like, attacked? She went on Twitter, was like, oh my gosh, I was attacked. And when I went to look for the video, because, you know, I didn't say I wanted to see her get beat up. I'm just saying I was wondering if there was a video. And she was cussed out in public is what it was. She was cussed out. And this is that Karen, that mid-high level Karen, maybe elite level Karen, of taking something like a cuss out and turning it into an attack. People die from this, Marjorie Taylor Greene. It goes back to, you have representatives in these houses, people that we vote for, who don't even know what the hell they're voting on. Like, so this comes back down to, our education. And let's talk about the education in the U.S. again. So 11% of the budget, the United States budget, which is $677 billion, goes towards education and social services, which is welfare, okay? Now, that is a extremely small amount for the number of welfare programs and the number of school districts in the United States of America. Now, the reason why they lump them together is because they're considered discretionary spending. And here's our problem here in these United States. We have laws and things in place that force the government to spend a certain way. Those are called mandatory budget items. One of those is Social Security, which apparently we can't figure it out, but that spent $1.22 trillion last year's budget. $1.2 trillion. And education becomes a discretionary thing. Do we need it? Do we don't? And I know there are when people go like, well, education comes from, local places. Like, yes. It starts with your local city-state taxes. That's where you get your budget for your schools. The problem is, we know redlining is an actual real thing in these United States. So the places that actually need support and federal support aren't getting what they need. So schools in like Chicago and Baltimore City and other low income regions are dying, and we're just funneling our kids through. How are they dying, you say, Marvin? I'll tell you. There are 55 schools, 55 in Chicago, that have said, we don't have any kid, not one kid, proficient in reading and math. One. We ain't got one. Then you have in Baltimore 23 schools that have 0 kids, not one, proficient in math, right? And so what you get is you get this, we don't have the education, we're funneling these kids through, and then what do they do when they get out of school? Now, I'm not going to get into the whole pipeline education, school to prison thing. We'll do that in another episode. But what I will do is say, this is where the federal government's job is to step in. The federal government's job is to step in when the local governments don't do what they're supposed to do. Laws against redlining, that'll probably never happen. Don't care if that happens. What needs to happen is if a school district comes in and shows you that they don't have the budget to create the programs to get their schools educated, to get their children educated to the level that they're supposed to do, the federal government is supposed to step in and spend that money. Now, I don't give a damn about the 45 billion. Don't give a damn about the 45 billion that went to Ukraine. But let's talk about the 767 billion that goes to our weaponry every year. Let's talk about the fact that these kids, we want to be innovative. We want to be the place to be. We're not taking care of our next generation. Our next generation is just getting dumb shit. Yeah, they made fun of this kid for having a job at the age of 22. What are we doing? So, yes, you can be outraged about where the money is going in Ukraine. It's a non-starter. What you should be more worried about is what's happening in your school districts at home. Because those who can afford it send their kids to private school. But for those who cannot, you at least want your kid to get an education where they can compete. And that's no longer the topic. You want to give your kids an education where they can compete. And it seems like that's no longer an option using our public school system. And it should be. It's a goddamn shame. Anyway, that's our time here at Comedy Trap House News. Like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy Marvin Telp. See you when I see you. Peace.